The film is set in a dystopian future, the place technological know-how has grown to be integral in performing simply about any task. At the start, a man named Stripe goals about a stunning woman. Soon he wakes up and it is published that Stripe is a new army recruit. He is set to go on a mission with his squad, which consists of a woman soldier named Hunter Raymond and an vanity soldier Leonard. Why the Leonards usually have to be so arrogant? Stripe's crew has been tasked with checking out an infestation of roaches in a close-by village. Roaches are pale, snarling, humanoid monsters with sharp teeth. Apparently these creatures are vicious and they prey on harmless people. It is Stripe's first area day after his training, so he is apprehensive and scared. However, when Rayman encourages him, he receives riled up. Shortly after, the squad arrives at a village, which has simply been looted via a bunch of roaches. That terrified villagers attempt to provide an explanation for the situation, however they talk in a one-of-a-kind language which the troopers cannot comprehend. So the group's commander Medina takes out a translator and starts off-evolved interrogating the villagers. She ultimately learns that the roaches escaped in the course of anyone named Par. Heidecker. Par is a solitary non-secular freak who is interestingly struggling from intellectual fitness issues. The locals declare that he let roaches go his land and even left out meals for them. In the meantime, Stripe personally speaks to the villagers and guarantees to one of them that he will attempt his fantastic to hold them safe. Suspecting that Par is supporting the roaches, the troopers head out for his compound. It is then printed that each soldier in the Navy has a neural implant known as MASS embedded in their brain, which presents records with the aid of AR or augmented reality. MASS additionally helps the Army in strategic operations. Soon the squad reaches Porn's massive compound and plans their raid. The use of holographic maps and information displays, which every soldier has get entry to. Thanks to the implants in their brains, Medina, Stripe, Raymond and Leonard are in cost of speaking to Porn and looking out the major residents whilst the others are assigned. With ranking the close by outer structures executing their mission, Medina knocks on the door and needs to look into his home. A few seconds later, a scared Parn solutions and it seems as if he is the solely one home. Although reluctant at first, he lets the troopers enter his house. Raymond and Stripe rapidly go about looking out upstairs whilst Medina and Leonard interrogate Porn. After speaking to him for a bit, Medina notices some non-secular symbols adorning the walls. This makes her comprehend that Par is actually searching out for the roaches due to the fact of some spiritual beliefs that all residing species have to be protected. She tries to disabuse him of this thinking by way of discussing the supposed illness in the roach's blood, which would not care about beliefs of frequent humanity. She additionally tells them that the roaches want to be exterminated if humanity is going to survive. Medina's beginning to sound a lot like AA Hitler. Meanwhile, Stripe and Raymond search the room upstairs to take a look at for any roaches. They come throughout a hidden room and figure out to break up in one room. Stripe sees a blanket with more than one shadows at the back of it. When he lifts the blanket, he finds 3 terrifying roaches. There the roaches show up to be pale, humanoids with sharp teeth, flattened noses, and discolored eyes. Voldemort would be proud. One of them holds up a mysterious gadget. With an inexperienced light, Stripe at once shoots one in the head and begins tussling with another. As the creature tries to chunk him, he attracts at his knife and stabs the roach in the chest. Even after it is dead, a disturbed Stripe continues stabbing it. After the encounter, he examines the mysterious inexperienced mild machine and experiences a flash, which motives a moderate stress in his eyes. As Raymond rushes to assist him, tries to stab Medina down the stairs by means without difficulty subdued and taken into custody. Before heading return to their base, Medina decides to set the compound on fire, which additionally destroys the mysterious inexperienced mild device. The next day, Raymond is considered practicing her sharp capturing in opposition to roach goals so that none get away the subsequent time. It is evident that she is green with envy of an amateur like Stripe, killing 2 roaches on his first day. Soon Stripe arrives and joins in on the exercise. He objectives at his target, however unexpectedly his neural implant system defects and he ends up missing. This concerns Raymond, however Stripe insists that he is fine. However, all through push-up exercises, his neural implant continues to glitch, which influences his performance. Medina notices this and orders him to see a medical doctor, resolving to get to the backside of the issue. Stripe follows his commander's orders and goes to the army hospital. The physician runs a diagnostic check on Stripe's implant, however fails to discover something wrong. After a while, Stripe tries to open up about the inexperienced device, which he discovered at Parn compound. However, the health practitioner does not recognize something and genuinely refers to an individual known as Arquette. It turns out Arquette is a resident army psychologist. He suspects that Stripe's trouble may additionally have something to do with the truth that he killed 2 roaches brutally. He additionally claims that a few days of suited relaxation ought to unravel the whole thing before parting ways. Arquette promises to Stripe an extraordinarily suitable sleep through programming something one of a kind for his goals that night. This dream includes the return of Stripe's habitual delusion of the lovely girl surrounded with the aid of flowing drapes. This time, although it is extra intense, the lights are crimson and she asks him to have coos with her. Stripe offers in and the two have a brilliant time, however simply then the glitch turns up once more, forcing him to wake up. He sits up in his bunk and appears over his comrades who are all peacefully sleeping. The subsequent day, Stripe, Raymond and Medina are lower back in the village supporting out with meals and supplies. There Medina informs the team that a piece of records used to be extracted on the roach's whereabouts from Par. Hence, the squad heads out to the said region to operate a recon. After a while, the trio arrives at a deserted place and plans their recon with the assist of a drone and their mass implants. As the team continues discussing Stripe's implant system faults out but once more and malfunctions all at once, he realizes that he can scent the grass, which he ought to no longer before. When the implant used to be working, he tries to provide an explanation for it to Raymond, however she virtually ignores him. All of a sudden, photographs are fired and Medina is struck in the head right away, killing her. Despite the setback, Raymond by hook or by crook retrieves the drone from the crossfire and makes use of it to detect the shooter. It turns out that the roaches are preserved up in a room with a stolen rifle. Stripe looks distraught, however Raymond decides to make their way into the compound, imparting cowl furnace for every other. Stripe, who is nevertheless pressured and dizzy after the implant stopped working, reluctantly concurs and follows his comrade there. The two locate a variety of makeshift digital workshop, likely the supply of that inexperienced mild machine from earlier. Shortly after, Stripe finds something even greater surprising. He sees a ordinary-looking female hiding out in one of the rooms begging for her life. She does not appear like a roach, so Stripe tells her to get out of there, promising no longer to damage her. She slowly backs into the hallway trying to flee, however shockingly Raymond shoots her dead. This stunts Stripe and he questions why she killed a civilian, however she definitely brushes him apart and strikes ahead, going on a killing spree, mowing down all the roaches in the building. Strangely, from perspective, all the roaches she kills appear like everyday humans, which shocks him even more. Ray then proceeds to kill a anxious mom-son duo, however earlier than she can do so, Stripe intervenes and knocks her unconscious. After a while, he staggers to his featuring and escapes with the mom and son whilst profusely bleeding. As Stripe leads them to safety, Rayman wakes up and witnesses them getting in the Navy automobile and fleeing after having been shot in the stomach and dropping a lot of blood. Stripe passes out in the back of the wheel, making the vehicle come to an entire cease in the center of the woods. Then the lady drags Stripe into her small hidden cave, made up of twigs and grime, and starts off evolved to deal with his wound. He quickly regains focus and receives startled by using the female making use of bandages on his wound. The female introduces herself as Katina and her son is Alec. She then drops a principal revelation. It turns out that the roaches the Navy has been searching are simply regular beings. It is the mass implant that alters the troopers' senses and makes them seem like inhumane monsters. This is due to the fact the greater category humans seem upon the roaches as some disorder-ridden, negative and unintelligent beings. Cat additionally displays that the inexperienced mild system used on Stripe was once constructed with the aid of her buddy to mess with the implants to make the soldiers see the roaches as their actual selves. I.e. humans, the roaches are victims of a genocide justified through the army as genetic cleansing. Damn, I did not count on my Hitler comic story to hit so deep. Stripe asks why the villagers hate the roaches in spite of them having no such implants. Katerina responds that whilst the locals see the roaches as humans, they nevertheless deal with them as inferior due to propaganda. Turns out that 10 years ago, the authorities ran DNA tests all around the world, which modified everything. People with genetic predispositions to sickness had been categorized as roaches, which used to be a marketing campaign set in action by way of TV and net media.